Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
Boss up and get the people what they want.
What a Game 5 in Memphis last night between the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies. Tied at 2-2. The Timberwolves have a big lead in the fourth quarter. They're just going to cruise to the 3-2 series lead. No, they're not. Ja Morant had something to say about that. That was a huge three to put them up 3. And then this play, great execution. Anthony Edwards in the corner to tie the game. That means the Grizzlies have the ball with about 4 seconds left. Mr. Rose, what happened next?
Bad gamble, first and foremost, by Anthony Edwards. You made a big three. You got to stay in front of Ja Morant. Obviously, great pass that leads Ja towards the hoop. But the terrific athleticism and flexibility for Ja to not only finish it, but finish it with his left with the cinnamon roll, too. That wasn't an easy layup, by the way. You know what I mean? Call 911. And also the beauty of watching that game, Jacoby, you know what really came to mind? Ja Morant is the NBA's most improved player this year.
Really?
Yes. This time last year, a guy like Luka, if we were doing levels, was ahead of Ja. Now Ja's become a complete basketball player and leader to where they're equals, for example, now. And doing it in all phases. That spectacular, electrifying dunk. How he just stole the soul from Malik Beasley. Oh my goodness, now you know why I didn't try to take charges against these electric athletes that are in the NBA. But then you showed the three also. That's an improved part of his game, right? And then accepting the challenge. That's what I like about Memphis. And when Patrick Beverley said that the Memphis squad was too small after scoring, I like taking it personal. And then that's when Ja started to attack. You see him doing it in all phases. And I appreciate that. The ascension of Ja Morant is the most improved thing that has happened in this year's NBA.
Well, Ja Morant himself felt that his teammate, Bane, deserved the most improved, and Bane has been very consistent throughout this series. He has been a player that can now be relied on in the playoffs to play at both ends and contribute.
Fly-by king. When you watching them play, pump fake, slide to the left, knock it down. He can finish at the hoop. Also, he's developing his runner. You see, he went and played summer league so he can improve his ball handling. Now they can rely on him. And I agree, he has been an improved weapon. But let's shout out Brandon Clark too, because Jaren Jackson Jr. in foul trouble.
Always.
Adams, not a great matchup for Big Cat. So now all of a sudden his strength and his athleticism, his ability to finish. And how about how he tapped it out for the three-point shot? I believe to Ja. You know what I mean? That was great. That was great court awareness by him as well.
Yeah, that tap out to Ja was more accurate than most of the passes I see thrown in the NBA. That was an amazing play. Big shout out to Clark. As you mentioned, Jaren Jackson Jr. is always in foul trouble. They needed someone to step up, and it was him. The Timberwolves need someone to step up. Cat has played well. However, a gentleman by the name of D'Angelo Russell is having a tough series, Mr. Rose.
The perimeter defense of Ja Morant, Bane, and Dylan Brooks is giving D'Lo the blues. And the thing about his game is they're going to not only need him to score, but they're going to also need his playmaking. And so they've taken both of those away from him. It's almost like a lefty being forced to play right-handed. That's what they're doing to D'Lo. And then on the other end, they're going at him defensively.
Oh, yeah.
They're going at him defensively. It's like sharks in the water against him defensively. So if the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually going to win this series, those numbers are going to have to look a lot better.
One thing that's so great about the playoffs is people like us that watch every game in the regular season know some of the characters that get exposed in the playoffs, one of which is T. Morant. T. Morant is the biggest Memphis Grizzlies supporter, and there he is with his doppelganger. Him and Usher just sitting there sipping drinks, going over the stat sheet together.
And I love the fact that these two brothers understand that this is what the people want to see, right? I appreciate that so very much. Usher's Cavs got eliminated.
Give the people what they want.
I appreciate that so very much.
I can't lie. When I first saw Ja Morant, I was like, he looks just like Usher. And I like the sense of humor that Usher has. He wore those glasses because he knew that Ja Morant was going to wear those glasses too. What a great game. What a great series. I can't wait until this one goes back to Minnesota for Game 6. But we had another Game 5 last night. This one took place in Miami, and it was not very competitive for most of the game. And it was Victor Oladipo. Without Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry in the game, Victor had himself a game.
Oladipo, and don't underestimate how he performed defensively also.
Good point.
Like, he was out there playing, like, it was good to see him moving well. You know, from a guy that was like one of the more electric high flyers in the league that became an all-star with Indiana and has dealt with some injuries and some role changing over the last couple of years and trying to reinvent himself now with the Heat. We highlighted the fact that the #1 seeded Heat, Victor Oladipo, had 40 points in the final game of the year, y'all. That's an X factor for the Eastern Conference playoffs, and they have Eric Spoelstra on the sideline. My favorite coach and the best coach other than Pop. Got to give the OG his credit in the NBA. And by the way, without Jimmy, without Lowry, and you and I talked earlier, you were like, all right, Strus signed, Eric Spoelstra must see some all of a sudden playing quality minutes in a playoff game, right? And Eric Spoelstra not only is a terrific coach, but you see him post-game, you saw the chain out.
Yeah, of course. He got the little thin chain. You know what I mean? The people look like me. You know what I mean? He got those little thin chains. You know, not the diamonds on them and the pendants. Just a little something, something. And I love that he was like, "Wait, Ja did what?" He was talking about the Ja dunk. He wanted to see Ja just like the rest of us. Big shout to Spoelstra. Big shout to the Heat. And last postseason, Trae Young put himself on the map as one of the stars on the rise. This postseason has been very different for Mr. Young.
Absolutely, and that's because of the Miami Heat defense. But here's what I want to stress. Trae Young shot his team to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. We're still trying to see if a great player like Joel Embiid can do that with the Sixers. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge Trae Young did have more turnovers than he had buckets this series against the Miami Heat. But I want to also know, as a go-to face of the franchise kind of guy, he shot them into the playoffs, and I appreciate that. Threw the play-in and got them in playing against the #1 seed. I'm not surprised they're losing this series.
Hard to beat the #1 seed. Hard to beat the #1 seed when you're coming out of the play-in.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
We'll see if the Pelicans can do it. And they weren't able to get a win last night. The series went back to Phoenix after that big win in Game 4. The Pelicans tried to build on that momentum, and without Booker, this time it was Bridges who took over a lot of the scoring burden for the Suns to get them a win.
The bridge is over. The bridge is over.
The
bridge is over. Knocking down threes. And here's what I like about Phoenix. You see that 5-man offense? Down screen for him to hit an elbow jumper. Then you see him spotted up in the corner knocking down the three. You see the baseline worthy cut for the dunk with 2 hands. Like, moving the play. Like, when you watch many NBA teams play, it's either best player or perimeter ball dominant guy in the pick and roll.
The Nets.
Or it's 3, 4, 5 guys sometimes perched around the 3 line. I like that Phoenix runs 5-man offense, and you in particular have to do it without Devin Booker. Chris Paul is going to make sure it happens because he's one of the greatest floor generals that the league has seen. And he took it personal like they all did the way they lost in the previous game. But he came out and like, I'm about to score this thing now. And so y'all go get these assists. Y'all go pressure me. I ain't going to wait till the 4th quarter. Now y'all going to go get these buckets. And that's what I appreciate watching from CP yesterday. But I have to say this. Don't you love the rookies for the Pelicans?
Alvarado. He did,
Right,
Alvarado. How do you not root for Alvarado? New York City's own. I'm claiming Alvarado, even though I never heard of him before this year. I'm claiming Alvarado now. Alvarado and Lance are in the same boat. Give him the 8 seconds again. Give him the 8 seconds again. I can't believe they even called him for that one. I can't believe they even called this one.
Hey, man, let me tell y'all something. I played point guard in this league, and I played against Muggsy Bogues, and I was 6'8", and I turned around, I looked at the future Hall of Famer. He had his hand on the ground. I'm like, well, I guess I can't dribble it because he's going to steal it. You know what I'm saying? So I just passed it, went and did a UCLA cut and tried to post him up. But then, basically like that, he was hounding me the whole time. So I'm saying that to say, hey, Phoenix wings, in particular guys like Crowder and Cameron Johnson and DeAndre Ayton, y'all got to slice and give CP3 some room to get a full head of steam with Alvarado in the game. Y'all can't be leaving the OG in the backcourt getting pressed by this young rookie 94 feet and getting 8-second calls. I look for that adjustment also to take place. But I love that the young fella's bringing a new element to the game.
I'm glad that you mentioned when you played in the league, because when you played in the league, you got paid millions of dollars, and you earned every penny, and you're a rich guy now with multiple homes. But look inside the home of this rich guy. Odell Beckham Jr. put his Ohio house on the market, and wait till you see these photos, Mr. Rose. I literally didn't even think that the inside of his home wasn't inside of his home. Wait till you see his closet. What is that? That was like a sneaker store. Jalen Rose, did he overdo it with the closet?
It ain't no such thing as overdoing it when you're doing it extra large. You know what I'm saying? So this is all a boss move. Don't ever get it twisted. But the one thing I will say is, was he that invested in Cleveland? Like that's the thing that jumped out to me. Hold on.
This is coming from a man who put newspapers in front of his windows in Indiana because he didn't want to pay for the curtains. He put newspapers on the window. You would look at that crib, you think he was going to be there for a decade.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's what I expect Patrick Mahomes to do in Kansas City, not Odell Beckham to do in Ohio. I felt like, wow, he was really invested.
I just can't wait until some of the people come to look at the house. They look more like me than you. And they get down to the basement to look at the closet. They're like, what is this? Like, what do you want me to do with these shelves? I got 3 kids, man. What do you want me to do? Have a sneaker store in the basement? What is this? Maybe we can do some renovations. Jalen Rose joining us in just. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, thank you guys for inviting me on, man.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate the love. So you have 138.5 sacks. And we look at this year's draft. It seems to be littered with game-changing pass rushers. So I have to ask you, who would you take with the #1 overall pick?
I would probably say Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, he's one of those guys, man, that reminds me of myself. He's actually bigger than, I was when I came out, but the way that he comes off the edge is just, phenomenal. And when you start thinking about getting the pressure on the quarterback, it's a passing league now. You got to have that guy that can create those big plays. And, sacks are at a premium this year. You can see a lot of guys getting paid to do that. So I would put him at the top.
If Jerry Jones called your phone and said, DeMarcus, what should we do this offseason to get this right for next season? What advice would you give him?
I would say go get a left offensive guard. Because one thing that was hindered this year is the run game. You do have all these crazy wide receivers. You're able to get them the ball. But if you don't feed Zeke, if Pollard doesn't get the football, why are we even playing football? It's controlled in the trenches. So I would get that left guard, that mauler like that Larry Allen, that Steve Hutchinson, a guy that at the end of the day, it might not be a first-round pick, but go get some offensive linemen because, you're going to need that. And once you get that in play, protecting Zeke, because they didn't do that in the playoffs. If they do that, then they're going to be that playoff team.
So I have to ask you about Micah Parsons. Like, he's the new era Swiss Army knife. He had 13 sacks. He does it in all phases. How special of a player can he actually be?
I think he's going to be a phenomenal player because I get to sort of mentor him a little bit in the off season. June and July, he'll come here and we'll work together. Last year we did that in the summer. I didn't know how fast he was. I was fast, but when I saw him get out the ball, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Do that one more time. And then he bent around the corner, went around the corner, did the moves. He learned the moves in like 2 or 3, reps. I said, dang man, this dude right here is gonna be phenomenal. And I said, what position they got you playing? He said linebacker, inside linebacker. I said, oh no. Wow. Put you on the outside. And guess what? One of the guys got hurt and they put him on the outside. I think he had 2 sacks that game. I said, leave him in there. Let him wreak havoc. And I think the sky is going to be the limit for him because he can play inside. He can play outside. You can put him on mismatches on tight ends and running backs. And, 13 sacks as a rookie, that's a good start.
That's a really good point. Now, something that's very important to me is my sleep, right? I've got 3 children. I don't get a lot of it. So sleep is extremely important to me. So tell me why you have partnered with Sleep Number and what that means.
The Sleep Number, 360 smart bed, it's not just a bed, right? You can always say that. I mean, this thing has been, sort of timed 14 billion hours of a computer sitting there knowing how to manipulate the body while you sleep. So the only thing you need to do is get on the bed and go to sleep. Wake up and you have either your sleep number if you want to have a firm bed, if you want to have, your score every single morning, but your results. And it's all about results at the end of the day. So if you focus on that, especially everybody being able to be me being part of this program, and now everybody else, the consumer being part of this program, I think that this is really going to help people out in recovery and sleep and just feeling better.
I need to get me a Sleep Number, and
yes,
I need to be a better endorser because whoever's paying this man, y'all need to pay him double. I need to do a better job of selling stuff. No wonder why I ain't got no sponsors.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I need one of these beds. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I got a regular bed, dog. My bed don't have a computer in it. It's not analyzing my sleep patterns.
I'm sending both of y'all a coupon because I want for y'all to feel like I feel.
Thank you, my brother. We appreciate you joining us. But before we let you get out of here, I got to ask one more follow-up question. Tell the draftees what's going to change in their lives the most on and off the field once they become a professional.
One of the number one things I'll say 2 things that are going to change in your life is your family and your friends. You're going to find out who is really there for you. Your circle is going to get really, really small because you got money.
Wow, that's really well put. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Ware.
Appreciate that.
Look forward to sleeping on my Sleep Number bed. That sounds
great. Looking for my coupon.
Look forward to having you back on the show anytime during the season.
Thanks a lot.
Y'all take care. Thank you.
JALEN ROSE, every day we recognize the fact that Brittany Griner is still detained in Russia.
One day is too long. 69 is just way too long. And we here at Jalen and Jacoby wish her a speedy, safe return to the United States.
JALEN ROSE, Game 5 tonight between the Bucks and the Bulls. There is no playoff game this year that I feel like is over before it started more than this one.
It's over now, you and me, babe. That's Luther Vandross for you youngsters out there. Too much Giannis. And here's what I like about the best player in the league, the best two-way player in the league, the most dominant player in the league, the defending champion, finals MVP, who's also been defensive player of the year. He's unstoppable because he kept working on his game. He can make jumpers now. He can make free throws now. And Brook Lopez is back scoring. And Drew Holiday is always balling. But I gotta say this about Chicago. I remember us doing a show earlier in the year, and the Bulls directly, their fans and their fan base was barking about Grayson Allen. And y'all, it's one thing to let Bobby Portis go to work on y'all, but y'all let Grayson Allen outscore all of the Bulls? Come on, man, it's over tonight.
Yeah, it is over tonight. Grayson Allen and Bobby Portis have stepped up because Middleton is out. It's important that they get this one done because the Celtics are waiting. Jalen Rose looking to close out their series in 5 are the Warriors, who face Jokic and the Nuggets. It's been Curry and Poole who have done the scoring for the Warriors.
And winning the previous game for the Nuggets was all about pride. And I want to give Austin Rivers a lot of credit for what he brought to the table. Will Barton made a big shot, Monte Morris. But now going back to Golden State, I expect the Joker to continue to be dominant. But you mentioned it. The Golden State Warriors closes out this series tonight.
We will be back tomorrow to discuss all these games and, of course, the NFL draft. Make sure you tune in ESPN2, 4 o'clock.
You're far too kind.